The newest addition to the Polar universe is the Polar Pacer. So I've been rocking this watch on my wrist for the last week or so, and here's my full in-depth review about it. Hey folks, my name is Leonard, you're watching the Product Reviewer, and that's me. Polar watches and the sport watches are well known in the sport community, and even pro athletes are wearing them, so they can be that bad, right? And the Polar Pacer might be the right addition for you if you're trying to get in shape and if you want to start running, cycling, swimming or other sports. So this watch tracks a whole bunch of activities, and not only activities but also your health stats like your heart rate and your sleep. And you have the privilege to use one of the best sport tracking apps out there. So let's start with some basics. And you can get this watch in 4 different colors. Now you can either get this one in black, in green, in light purple or in white. And over here in Germany you can get this watch for around 199 euros on the official store, which isn't a lot, but it's also not that cheap. So let's see what we get for that price. First off, the sport modes, and with this sport watch you have around 130 different sport modes to choose from. On the watch itself you can only have like 20 at a time, but you can chase that up anytime you want to in the Polar Flow app and add new ones or kick some out of it. By the way, every single sport mode is customizable. So for example, the running mode. On this one you can set automatic laps after a certain distance or time. You can customize your heart rate zones, which I wouldn't do if you have no clue about it, since the default settings are pretty good actually. And for every single sport mode you have up to 8 different layouts for your metrics. So you can decide if you just want to track one single stat or if you want to have up to 4 metrics shown on your display. I even counted how many options you have in total, and you have 60. And that's a lot. Now further, you have a back to start feature which will lead you back to your starting point in the shortest possible way. You have an auto pause function just in case you have to stop for a short period of time and you don't want to track that. And you can play around with the frequency of the GPS, if it should track like every second, every minute or even 2 minutes. Depending on which mode you choose, you will lose more or less battery life. As for the accuracy of the heart rate and the bit in GPS, I think Polar is doing a pretty good job. I really cannot say anything bad. I tried the built-in GPS several times, and every time it wasn't that far off from the reality. It was always just a little bit off on one side of the street in the city, and it is doing an even better job once you're in an open space. And the heart rate during the day was pretty much spot on. Only if you're doing some activities it was a little bit off, but we're just talking about a beat or 2 as I was comparing it to my chest strap. On the watch itself you will find similar features. So before we start an exercise we can play around a little bit in the settings. Right here we will find the different battery saving options, backlight, hour training suggestions, race pace, interval and countdown timer, and the back to the start feature. As for the battery life, the Polar Pacer is actually giving us the same battery life as its bigger brother, the Polar Pacer Pro. So we get about 7 days on normal usage, 100 hours of training time in power saving modes, and 35 hours with full GPS enabled and your heart rate. So that's pretty good. Alright guys, let's talk a little bit about the specs. Now this watch is a super lightweight. Without the strap, this one weighs in at 23 grams and width at 40 grams, even though we have a rather big case with 45 by 45 by 11.5 millimeters, and we have a 1.2 inch MIP screen with a resolution of 240 by 240 pixel. And I have to tell you that we have no touchscreen, so all of the navigation is done with the 5 physical buttons that we have on the side of the watch. With the upper and lower right button you can scroll up and down. The middle button is to select, and the other 2 are for the backlight and to get to your menu and back. The silicone strap looks and feels pretty nice on my skin, and it has a quick release function to quickly change bands. Since we get a whole bunch of water support, this watch is of course water resistant up to 5 ATM. And I guess that's all there is to say about the specs, so let's head over to some features. This watch keeps track of all of your daily activities like your steps, active time and burned calories. We get the cardio load status, which basically tells us if you're training too much, not enough, or just the right amount to make some progress. We have a standard 24/7 heart rate tracker, all of our past workouts, and a nightly recharge and sleep tracker. The sleep tracker will track your light, deep and REM sleep and your time awake, and based on your sleep amount, regeneration and stability, it will give you a score between 1 and 100 to show you how good your sleep was. The nightly recharge basically tells you how much your body recovered over the night. Alright, back to the watch. Next up we have our suggested workouts. Like the name implies, it will suggest a couple of workouts that you and your fitness level can do, and it's even giving you tiny animations on how to do them. We get the weather forecast, a summary on how much you've trained during the week, Right here it will show you your total work time, your distance, burned calories, and the exercises that you did. And as for last, we have a standard music player with which you can do some basic stuff like skipping the track, play and pause, and adjust the volume. As for some other little features that we get on the smartwatch, we have Serene, which is basically a guided breathing session. We have a whole bunch of sport tests and fueling, which basically reminds you on long workouts to stay hydrated and high on carbs to keep a consistent energy output. And folks, that's already it for today's video. I hope you like it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.